Meg has been an ardent supporter as a journalist of women in business and women entrepreneurs and women's issues in general, writing for ROINJ, NJ Biz, and other publications. She's an entrepreneur in her own right. But one thing I want to tell you about Meg that I just learned today after knowing Meg for a few years is that she is a phenomenal singer. Let's give her an applause. And Meg was in a competition at Union County Performing Arts Center yesterday. She made it through to the semifinals in this competition, and she is well positioned to win a scholarship, a $10,000 grant. And I may not be giving the information 100% correctly, but one thing I do know is that she's a winner. She's made it to the next rounds, and in the next round, which will be on November 17th at the Union County Performing Arts Center, we'll be sending information out about this in our follow-up newsletter to the event. What we need from everyone in this audience, and when we talk about pulling women up, Meg needs your vote. So be sure, open the newsletter when we send it, click on the link, submit your vote for Meg Fry. And that's it for Meg. Okay, Meg? We're doing okay, right? Now, one of our panelists, and several of our panelists are in the publishing industry and digital media. And Heidi Castoreum, who is the publisher, started this magazine, Biz Republic magazine, which focuses on South America and the Latin American community, business. Featured a story recently on Rendered International, which is part of the Berkeley College family and provides translation services, educational services, and experiences in New York City. And there's an article on Rendered here in this magazine today. So thank you, Heidi, for bringing the publication and sharing it with us today. And now, on with the program.
Thank you very much. That's the best plug I could ever ask for. I'm delighted to be here today. I'm sorry if my voice goes in and out. I chose a belt song last night. I sang Me in the Sky from Come From Away. It's an uplifting breath of fresh air of a musical. If you haven't seen it yet, please go see it. It's just a fantastic work of art. So I'm a journalist by day and a theatrical performer by night. But I'm also 24/7, a big sister and a caretaker of 3 tweens, a loving daughter to a strong single mother rising above domestic abuse, a supportive partner to a fantastic feminist. I'm a loyal and devoted friend and a full-time overthinker. And so one of my favorite topics to discuss as a women in business journalist is the mental load that women carry with them every day, with all that we are and everything we want to be. It's one of my favorite discussions and one of the most important, I think. So if anybody would like to discuss that with me, I am planning on writing an article about that in the near future. And I stand beside me an incredible panel of women this afternoon, all of whom I'm sure have similar, if not even more complicated stories to share. And we're going to discuss about what it means to be a woman in today's workforce and how entrepreneurship has allowed them the creative freedom to best use their skills and apply their passions to the greater good. I have a couple of questions to ask every one of our panel. The questions are open for anyone to answer. We'd like to keep it concise as possible so that we can get to questions from the audience. But I'd just like to begin by asking each of our panelists to briefly introduce themselves and talk about what led them to the route of becoming an entrepreneur. So we can go right down the line.
Hey, everyone. It feels great to be home. My name is Dr. Melissa Perrault. I am a professor, entrepreneur, you name it, I do it. But most of all, I am a mom to many of the students in the crowd. They know I love them. They're all my babies. And I am a Patterson resident. I am the daughter of Dominican immigrant parents. And they taught me the importance of education. And I was lucky enough to participate in the Bridges program for minorities, and I was able to graduate with a doctoral degree in molecular pathology and immunology at the age of 27. And I realized by talking about it that sometimes you inspire other people to do great things. And so I just want to say that you have to keep motivated, and it has been my journey to pass this on to my friends, many of whom are in the audience, and pass this on, most importantly, to my children. So I am the mother of 2 beautiful boys. I'm the queen of my castle because I'm the only girl. And I love waking up every day coming to Berkeley College because this is family. So many of my coworkers have become great mentors. We have Dr. Dallas Reed in the back. We have, Linda Pinsky, Angela Harrington, Terry Duda, so many great women here, and that literally keeps my fire going. And I just want to share with all of you that if I can do it, so can you.
Good morning. My name is Susana Bergman. I'm the president, CEO, chief, and founder, all of that. And I also close the door when I leave of Latinas in Business Incorporated. It's a nonprofit organization. We are very young. We got our nonprofit status last year. And this is an initiative that I started out of my own firm. For 20-some years, LCS Worldwide Language and Multicultural Services. It was a multicultural agency, and I work in the areas of education and health. So it was so long ago that I don't even remember anymore what I was working for. So I became an entrepreneur just by chance. I got fired from a job. I was working in Trenton for the state of New Jersey, and the new administration came in, Governor McGreevey, many of you might remember him. I was a contractor with the state, and 758 contractors were let go. And I had started a little translations on the side, doing, for small clients. And I remember that day, March 24th. It was a bright winter day, and I was coming back home with my pink slip, and I said, God, if you are doing this in this beautiful day, it's because there is something better for me down the road. And exactly that's how it happened. And I went full-time with the business. I worked very, very hard. And so I developed my agency. I'll tell you a little bit more about my initiative later.
Good morning. My name is Heidi Castoreum, and I'm a business developer with a strategic and creating business with social responsibility in order to create long-term relationships within the community and with the local authorities. Also, I am a founder director of Biz Republic magazine and the media outlet bizrepublic.com. Both tools help me to support small business and startups with the sponsorship of the large company and big organizations. We all together deliver a product that helps to educate people within the business community. My second job is I'm a mother of twins. My third job is a driver, a chauffeur, a chef, a pickup, everything. Yes, I have a husband. He takes care of the bills. He keeps working. What it drove me to become an entrepreneur. So when I came to this country, I was 31. I was already comfortable working at the Embassy of Peru in Buenos Aires, in your homeland. And I was very happy what I was doing, but I studied the international trade. And when I came to do an internship here, I applied for United Nations, but the mission of Peru transferred me to the consulate of New York, so I did another year there. And not inside, but outside, I met my husband, so we were dating for years, back and forth. And then when I say, okay, they give me a big offer in Peru to do another project within the government, I say I had to make a decision. So the decision, here I am. So when I arrive here, I have to start all over. And it's very hard. It's hard, and maybe it can lead you sometimes to light depression, whatever you want to call it, sad, homesick, and to adjust to a new culture, obviously, because the times that I came was a very short time of period, and thanks God, my first trip, I remember I was in McDonald's at Times Square. I didn't mean to do a commercial. And I was online, and when they say next, and I didn't know how to order the burger to say 1, 2, and I couldn't understand the way she was talking to me. So when I went back to Argentina, I said, forget about this TV, no more. I bought a cable, and I started here. I remember all my children through cable in South America. I don't know if somebody's familiar with that soap opera. It's American soap opera. So I started to educate in my ear, even though that I was not planning to come to live to United States. So when I arrived here, and I had to learn on the go, and I say, how did I start? Because you don't have credibility, you don't have history, not even credit history, not even anything. Look for somebody that is bicultural, bilingual, and to understand my resume and trying to make it attractive to the companies to hire me, right? So and then I said, okay, I had to start somewhere because the rules on import, export, I don't know, so wow, marketing. So then is when I applied, I got hired, I started as a temp, and the Iberia Foods, a division of Unilever at that time. And that was it. 1 year, there was the Spanglish was good, but then I said I had to move forward. I had to move from here if I want to make better money, and I start building again where I was. So that's what I did. I applied for a different job, and I worked 14 years for Evergreen Shipping Company. The only thing is that not only I learned English, but I learned some Chinese as well. But it was very good, a discipline, and I getting to know. I was dealing with contracts at the seaport. I had 6 bosses. I was the only woman. I was the number 4 Latina in the company within 250 employees. Even the cleaning people, I didn't say the name of the company, right? Even the cleaning people say, what are you doing here? How do you get hired here? Because I used to stay late to learn the system, and I had to communicate with Taiwan when it's dark here, over there is the daylight. And so fast forward a little bit, in 2008, I had to do something that I like, because I started getting this motivated at work, and already have 6, 7 years. Oh, in 2003, I was pregnant, and I said, okay, 1 baby, that's okay. I can handle it, the house, the work. No, then at a month, the doctor told me, are you ready with your bank account? What is coming to? So, okay, thank you. So I didn't have no choice, no family, no anything, but this is an advice just to make sure, get sure the story. Never stop working. You think it's impossible? I know it's better to give a quality time to your kids than quantity time, because especially if women entrepreneur wants to continue, build, or open a business, or continue with the career where you guys working in any corporation, you must continue working. It was hard, yes. I have to leave my kids with someone that I don't know. It was pretty hard, but we managed, thank God, they're healthy, and I have no other way to become also a psychologist, so I have to always talk to my kids that we're going to do this, that was that, so I built a very good communication with them. Even when I was overseas, I talked to them. We have very good communications so far until now. Now they're teenagers, it's not easy. Sometimes I gotta pull all the cellulars, and okay. So all those headaches, because I say to my friends, I'm not the one in the Facebook. Also, I clean, I do shopping, I sweep, I vacuum, and I do everything. Same like you guys. And then I say, on 2014, they laid me off. They laid off a lot of people. They was closing already a lot of offices, and New Jersey was the last one to get hit with the layoff. And I said, no way, I'm not going back 8 to 5. No. So, but on the other hand, I know we missed a nice check, it's there, and the health insurance and everything, but I said, no, this time I have to be strong, and I already improved my English as well, so I said, this is my time. I had to start building. It's not easy, but that's the reason I started, because I want more flexibility. I want to be able to help others as well. I wanted to work inspired, and I wanted to work on something that I really like, and I can leave a legacy within the community and inspire other persons. So that's my
Thank
story.
you. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shakira Johnson. Angela, thank you so much for inviting me and for putting together this wonderful panel. My company is Johnson PR and Events. It's an award-winning experiential and digital marketing consulting company. We've done events at Google. We've partnered with Microsoft, Prudential. We've done events at MetLife Stadium. Some of our campaigns have been covered by CNN, Associated Press, Self Magazine, and the list goes on. So we really work to help brands, whether that's corporations, associations, nonprofits, government, tell their story, leverage their contacts for fundraising, exposure, and really help to create strategic communication plans. So that's what we do as a consulting company. We also have an organization called the OMG Tea Party that empowers women and girls through events and digital content. And the reason that I became an entrepreneur was really, it was God's plan. I was working in government. I was the spokesperson for a municipality. I was working pretty much 7 days a week, all kinds of hours of the morning and night. And I was pregnant with my first child. And as I was in a meeting one night at 11 p.m. with people just acting all kind of crazy, I thought, where is my son gonna be when I'm in a meeting like this with people acting all kind of crazy? Mm-hmm. So in that moment, I said, I'm gonna go on maternity leave and not come back. So that's what happened. I saved all of my days. I literally worked till 2 days before I had the baby. I worked every single, I never complained. I just worked up until literally 2 days before. And I just never went back, and I thought that I was gonna be a stay-at-home mom. And I was home for probably about a week or two, and then the phone started ringing, and people were like, oh, I heard you resigned. And now since you resigned, you can do my fill in the blank. And that is how the company started, and it just has worked mostly off of referrals and word of mouth, just the power of doing a great job and building and maintaining excellent relationships. And now we're in the growth phase of the company, so really looking to do more in the procurement space, in the WBE space, in the MBE space, all of those spaces. So that's my little short, condensed version of what I do and how I got here.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kay Lucas. Thank you, Angela, for inviting me to be on this panel. It's a wonderful conference and a wonderful topic. I started off in advertising. I was one of those lucky people who knew exactly what they wanted to do as soon as they started college. I was an economics major, but I knew I wanted advertising, and I was fortunate enough to have a college roommate at the University of California at Berkeley, whose two parents were two of the biggest advertising moguls in New York. So she kind of navigated me right into the business, and I started at 21 at Gray Advertising. I started off on the general market side, working at Gray, Scally McCabe. A lot of these agencies don't even exist anymore. Gray, Scally McCabe Sloves, Lord Einstein O'Neill, Lord Geller Federico Einstein, Lord Group, Lord Dentsu. He said he's going to name it Lord Not Again if it happened again. And then I transitioned over to the multicultural side, where I literally was the head of media operations for 4 of the largest African-American owned agencies in the world. And those were the Mingo Group, Uniworld Group, Don Coleman Advertising, which is now Global Hughes, and Carol H. Williams. I, along that way, moved into the area of new business development. I was finding myself in positions where I would literally, in one streak, when Lord Geller transitioned over to Lord Einstein, I was on the team that generated over $100 million worth of new business within 3 months, including Sandoz Pharmaceutical, Saab, Wall Street Journal, Dow Jones, New Yorker, Poland Springs, and other brands. We just had to reinvent ourselves because our company went under, and we had to each keep our job by winning new business. And then when I moved to the multicultural side, it was the same. I was able to pull in a lot of new business. In fact, what made me go into entrepreneurship was here in New York at Don Coleman. It was really literally me and one other woman who he had set up an office in New York to lay the groundwork for Global Hue, and we were also able to bring in 5 pieces of business in 1 year, which really got the company going. So it kind of made me start thinking, you know, I think one of the themes here as women is we see ourselves as there's behind every great man, there's a woman. And I found myself working for a number of companies with men and helping them literally grow their revenue in the millions. And then I started asking myself, well, if I can single-handedly bring in 5 accounts at one agency, why not just do it myself? So in 2001, I moved on into my own business. I've had it for 18 years. I was able to start off with a great start with some of the existing clients I'd already worked with. I currently enjoy working with Wells Fargo and UNICEF. I do a lot of work. I also teach. I'm a professor of communications, and I work for State of New York, other people. So I've enjoyed it, and I feel that it's really about that superpower is really sort of understanding the value. I know that came up this morning, the value that you're really bringing to the table, but also having the grit to really, one thing I did learn when I transitioned from corporate into business was that it's a different ball game in business. You have to almost start to have some of the qualities of some of the tougher qualities that you see in men that help you power through business problems as opposed to just being great at what you do. You know, so that was one of the things I had to learn. I think that was a little bit more difficult. I knew how to do what I did, but I had to also learn how to operate in the business world. So with all of that, I finally, you know, feel I can't believe I've been in business for 18 years, and I've really enjoyed every minute of it, and that's my story.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Shea Richburg. My journey started towards being an entrepreneur when I was a little girl. There was a character on TV by the name of Angela Bauer, and she had a male housekeeper named Tony Maselli, and I thought that was cooler than a slice of bread with pumpkin pie and peanut butter and jelly on it. And I remember that character, and I remember telling my mom, I want to be an entrepreneur. So with that information said, I went to college. I have a linguistics background. I thought I was going to be a speech pathologist. I worked on my MAT. Then I thought I was going to teach. And then I had my first child. And I self-published my first parenting book. And it did very well on Amazon. I instantly got speaking gigs. And I keynoted, actually, at a conference. And someone from Babies R Us was there, a regional manager, and asked me if I would consult with them. And I started doing workshops based off of my theories in my book. That went very well, and that's when I started consulting under Lion Mommy Inc. As we all know, sad face, Babies R Us is not here today. But from the advice of my husband, who's sitting in the front right now taping me, behind every good woman, there's a good man. My husband said, why don't you start a convention? Because you have all these liaisons, you have all this information, and you have a passion to help families. So that's what I did. I started my company called Family Con. It's the largest family convention and expo in this region. I wrapped up in 2018 with 4,000 attendees in Atlantic City. And we provide families information focusing on education, health, technology, and overall entertainment. I've partnered with Warner Brothers, Home Depot, CBS Film. I've partnered with a lot of people, actor Harry Lennox, a lot of companies really were banging at the door because they saw I had the passion to stand up and represent families and really bring forth information that I felt was not getting into the right hands. I wanted moms and dads and families to know the latest products, to make the best choices, to send your children to the best colleges for your child's interests. So that was really the driving force for FamilyCon. So I've been doing that for the past few years. I'm starting my new company called FutureWise, which is bridging the gap between colleges, C-suite executives, and entrepreneurs, and we're focusing on the future of work and new skills that need to be implemented with the adding of automation within society. So I'm now focusing on really getting the skills that we need to talk about those and implementing those in companies, in schools, in colleges, and with entrepreneurs. So I just finished wrapping up a film. I actually produced my first kids film. I was so excited about that, called Spring Break, the kids movie. So sky's the limit as far as what I've done. I have really been on a journey, as I said, since I was a young child, and doors have opened because my superpower, I feel, is I am a super connector. I know how to network and connect with people. I am authentic, I'm genuine, and what I give out, I give back. And what I've been getting back has been tremendous support, financially, emotionally. I like to connect with people, and I want people to feel as though I understand them. No matter what you look like, what package it comes in, no matter how successful I am, I still represent you. So that's been opening tremendous doors on my path and my journey. So Angela Bauer, thank you. It really did start. TV is very impressionable, and it did leave an impression on me as a child, and I knew at a very early age it's endless opportunities to what I can do. And my message for women in here is write your own narrative. Do not let somebody write your narrative or tell your story for you. Do not wait for your job to lay you off. Do not wait to be in a situation that it's tough. You provide a service, a skill, anything you have, any talent you have, and you go out in the world and you market yourself, and watch and see how many opportunities come to you. Thank you.
Thank you. That actually leads quite nicely into my next question. But I just logistically wise, I have about 3 questions, maybe a fourth that I'd like to ask generally of the panel. Again, anyone is welcome to answer. We just a reminder to keep the answers brief. All of these women are incredible, amazing women. I'm so proud to be standing up here with you today, and I just want they'll be available to speak with after the panel, and I'm sure if they wanted to connect with you afterwards, that would be great. You can learn way more information than you may get in their answers to these questions, only for the sake of time. So starting with the first question, we talked about the representation of women, and whether that be in the media or in mostly male-dominated academics or in the home. I'm just wondering the trends and challenges that you've seen since starting your business in regard to the representation and visibility of women.
Hey, y'all. So I just want to say, because I had to keep it brief. So I ran for office. This is a true story. I ran for office in the great city of Patterson last year. And I did not win, but I won. I started to notice a trend, and I started to notice that there were other women who had similar needs and, like me, faced certain troubles, and they had no one else to turn to. So I started a nonprofit for women to develop leadership self-confidence called Caucus. Yes. So my goal is to help other women and students, whether they need community service, whether they need me to go do a workshop and teach people time management, stress management, whether it's cancer awareness, because my specialty opens the door for so many things. And I just want to say, keep God first, always. Your faith is so important because everybody's going to try to take something from you, and your faith is something that is yours. And to recapitulate what Vanetta said, she said, know your worth. But I want to add something to that. Know your worth, add tax and shipping and handling.
It's incredibly important to remember. Incredibly important.
And something I learned from my grandmother, my grandmother was an entrepreneur. She raised 14 children on her own. she grew up and lived in a farm, and she cultivated the crops on the farm, and that's how she fed the entire family. And she said, where one eats, so can 20. And so when you get, give, and when you learn, teach. And that's why I teach, because I feel that inspiration is like a pebble. You throw the pebble in the water, right? The pebble goes in the water and it's no longer visible, but the ripple stays forever. And so I just like to say that I'm proud of everything I've been able to do, because I'm allowed to be myself in my job, and I'm allowed to push people to not be me, to be better than me. So the narrative, I think, has to change, because if we don't change the narrative, we won't change the story. And I think a lot of people focus so much on themselves and things that are, self-consuming. And if we learn to pay it forward and give it back to people that may need help in an area that you are sufficiently qualified to do such, why not? I'm also a connector. I saw a couple of hands go up, because it's been wonderful having all these connections and getting people to just know each other. So I have my girl Ciriel Rivera. She represents New York Life. She comes to my classes. She's a financial literacy expert. I'm like, oh my God, totally. Come teach my students about financial literacy. They need to know that when you die, GoFundMe is not a good plan. Just saying. And then I have Rosa, and I just met them. I just met these young ladies at a seminar that I went to for a fundraiser. I have Kim James, who is a mental health advocate right in the city of Patterson. I have Ruby Cotton from Patterson, who always does things for women who survive domestic violence. And even though I'm not directly involved with the effort, that doesn't mean I can't help and support. And I think that's the problem. Some people say, well, how can I help? Support. Get involved. Ask questions. If you know of a job, connect students. I met Gerlina de la Hoz. I was so fortunate to meet her through a connection. Luisa, who is part of the She Caucus, and Shamira. And she has a nonprofit where she helps parents who have children with autism and special needs. And how important it was for us to bridge the gap in our community, because so many of these parents and children who suffer from these disorders do not have the information available to them in their native tongue, which we don't really think about that. And that's why I'm a strong proponent of bilingual education, of special education, of helping each other. And I think we need to learn to raise the bar high, because energy is contagious. People follow positivity. And I always tell people, protect your energy. Don't hand people the straw to suck the positivity out of you. Protect your energy, because that is your superpower. Your energy is your superpower. So if anybody wants to follow me, Dr. Melissa Perrault on Facebook, LinkedIn, and the She Caucus. I'm actually looking for people to do community service, even if it's knocking on a door to say, hello, my name is, who knows? You never know who you could connect. We're not doing it for us. We're doing it for the generation that's coming up. We're doing it for all these students. I'm doing it for the Lawandas, the Bernadettes, the Vatinas, the Thomases, the Karens, the Luisas, everybody I'm good with names. I memorize names. If I could give you a tip, learn to memorize people's names. It makes a difference. It makes a difference, personalizing the learning experience. And I just want to say that I'm proud. I'm proud as a Latina, as a Dominican, as a woman, as an entrepreneur. I'm proud. And you ought to be too. And I just, one gentleman took a picture. He said, oh, you're beautiful. And I said, I know. Because we need to start being proud of what we can achieve and what we've done. You may not know where you want to be, but guess what? You know where you don't want to be, and that's a start.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We have time for maybe one more answer for that particular question before we move on.
So I just wanted to speak on the specific question of women and representation in the media and just in general. So I see a lot of women represented in the media. So for example, in PR and events, I see a lot of women, doing the role of, doing the work of PR, events, publishing, sales, all of those things. So I see a lot. What I don't see a lot of in many cases is the ownership piece. So for example, you may see a lot of women doing the work of it, but who actually owns the company in many cases tends to be men. And as you stated earlier, a lot of times the women are doing the sales, doing the actual work, they're doing the client relations, they're doing those pieces, but the actual ownership is men. Even if you turn on your television in media, you may see a lot of women who are on camera. But as far as who actually is owning the media company and who's actually handing out assignments and things of that nature are men. So to speak specifically to that, I would say one, and this was mentioned in the first panel, is women, let's just be kinder to each other. A lot of times behind the scenes of it all, it could get a little catty or a little on edge. It gets a little edgy sometimes. There's more than enough room for all of us. None of us need to be I'm the only woman, I'm the only brown girl, I'm the only tall girl, I'm the only, that's not necessary. There's room for all of us. And really just in business, the importance of partnering, because when you really want to go for big business and when you're talking about owning and the amount of capital that's needed and all those different type of things, or even if you just want to go to bid for certain contracts, you really need to look to partner with other women so that now you have the capacity in order to not only to execute, but to show whoever it is going to be funding it or giving your company capital that now this is a company that's vetted and has the capacity and can actually execute. So yes, I see us. I see Meg. I love you, Meg. But I don't know if I can say, y'all might have to edit this, but Meg doesn't own ROI, right? So that's the piece. It's like we do a lot of the work, but we don't have a lot of the ownership. And in order for us to really get to that ownership piece, it one starts with the relationships and then with partnering.
Thank you. So my next question is that all of the statistics point to that minority women statistically have even more challenges to overcome when it comes to the gender hiring and wage gap. And maybe giving some of our other panelists who haven't spoken yet, how have you addressed this issue in your own life and business, and perhaps even on corporate or government committees or nonprofits?
Yes, I was thinking about that, the challenges, because as a woman, first I have to tell you a little bit about my story to understand what the challenges were for me. I am probably the oldest person, for sure in this panel, and probably in the room. Last week, I just turned 69 years old. And this is my third stage of business, doing something new in this country. I came to this country when I was 40 years old. I'm an immigrant. I'm Latina. And I did not know I was Latina until I came to this country. So that was one of the challenges. Suddenly, I was Argentinian. I didn't have an idea. And then suddenly, I'm in this group of people that are all similar but different. We don't all eat rice and beans. We don't all like spicy food, okay? So I came when I was 40 years old. I had a past life, a real past life. I was a college professor. I was a 10-year college professor in Argentina. And due to political turmoil, we decided to emigrate. And the opportunity came for my husband at the time in the United States. So, like someone also said, there was an identity issue. We had to start all over. I went back to school and I became a student after being a 10-year professor. You understand, if you're a professor, you know what it means. You had to, blow your mind sometimes and just keep quiet, zip it, okay? So, challenges as an immigrant, as a woman, and as a Latina. And I did not have those challenges in my country because everybody knew who I was. And I was an architect. I was a professional. I had the respect of a professional woman. And then I came here, and I lost all of that. And then I had to build again a new identity and a new challenge. I had to face new challenges. So I always talk about these three elements, which I call qualifiers: being Latina, a woman, and an immigrant. Everybody has a qualifier that people might see as dequalifiers. Oh, it's just, oh, maybe it's the skin, your skin, or maybe you are overweight, or maybe you think that you are not so smart. How do you turn those dequalifiers into strengths? If I tell you that I survived 13 years of a military dictatorship in Argentina, what has that given me as a person? Resilience, understanding, managing my fear. So, being able to make quick decisions. As a mom, what do you have? What qualifier is being a mom? You're an arbitrator. You're a disciplinary. You keep your team in, in good health and in good health and in good shape. So translate all those challenges into attributes and strengths. Think about that, and that's important for you to overcome those challenges.
Thank you.
Well, I'm agree with everything that she say, and I feel the same way, but not for a long time. And with this being said, I want to say each of you mentor, empower women, little girls. And my daughter, I say every day, how are you? Good morning, beautiful. You're strong. My daughter sometimes has anxiety because she got some bullying issues in grammar school. However, please empower, even if it's your niece, the daughter of your friend. Always say, oh, you're so strong, you're so talented. The empowerment of the women have to start even from here. So when they're born, all the time, she had to hear that music, that she's strong, she's powerful, she can rock the world, she can get whatever she wants, and she's determined. Don't forget, this is the message I want to tell you. Now, when you're already fine, and sometimes I had to do some work on the highlands back in Peru. When I was here already, I did some consulting job, like coaching people in the Andes and to teach them how things work here. One time I was hired for a company, and could you explain the people over there that here works different things? We bought 2 containers of beans and blah, 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 blah. So they hired me to coach them. Since I'm bicultural, that's another thing. I look, like she said, look for your strengths. If we are Latinas, we are bicultural. Our value is double. And that's what I say. My daughter said, Mommy, I born here, Dad is Italian, descendant Italian, you're Peruvian. But I think I feel more Peruvian. She always hear me, I'm from the Incas. So I feel strong and nothing. My son said, Mommy, you don't take a no. No, it's nothing. I had to pursue it and get what I want. So when I went back to the lands, I had to teach them. And you know who the most, what gender was the more able to understand what was happening, that they had to commit the days, they had to commit the contract, because already when the supermarket or when the importer received the goods here, they already have a campaign and flyers, and the supermarket cannot be delayed this product, not for a month, because everything is it was the women's. The farmers, it was the wife of the farmers. So with all the respect of the guys that are here in the room, We are multitask. We have so many talents. We have the obligation to rediscover our talents and make a list. What talents? Don't just focus on the negative part.
Thank
I'm
you.
positive you're gonna have a long list of good qualities of yourself.
Thank you very much. We have time for one more answer to this question before we move on to the topic of motherhood.
Hello. I think I can combine motherhood and that topic.
Oh, great.
When I started at Gray, I had just gotten married, and in the interview, they said, well, we hope you're not going to get pregnant.
Oh.
And I said, okay, you know. And 3 months later, I was pregnant. So I had already gotten one quick promotion. They call Gray a revolving door. It's one of the best training grounds in advertising, and they really, there's a lot of pressure. We were working till 7 or midnight every night. And I ended up getting pregnant. I'd gotten one promotion. I had a trainee working under me. His name was Jed Petrick, and he had started. I trained him. We had a little office. He jokes around nowadays. He said, I remember that little tiny office and this big pregnant woman walking around all over the room. So I ended up finally leaving and having the baby and taking a 3-month leave and came back, and Jed was now promoted over me. So I went straight into the management, and I said, well, wait a minute now. You know, I took 3 months off, but, you know, remember, I did train Jed, so how is he now over me? And they gave me a promotion that day. But there was a challenge, not only being a woman, but also being a black woman in a company. I think our whole company had maybe, 1,000 employees, and maybe 6 of those employees were black. I had situations where I got one promotion, and there was a whole picket line in front of my office. And I don't even know how that was allowed to happen, but it went on all day long. I had situations where I had a meeting with a client when the client said, okay, this was a great presentation, now bring the white people in. I had so many things, and it became industry knowledge that like 1% of the ad industry was black. But there were a lot of challenges. I kept powering through, and I kept getting promotions, and I had a whole bunch of people that worked under me, and I saw a lot of them. One of them is now the head of Fox Searchlight Films. Jed became the head of the CW network and the WB network. So you'd see a lot of people power through it. And it was real eye-opening. And that's one of the reasons I, too, agree with what you said about ownership, because I think one of the opportunities for black women in particular is to now own and sort of drive our own, especially with the digital assets that we can use today to make a difference.
Thank you very much. So moving on to the topic of family care as well as self-care and mental health. That topic has thankfully become a louder topic when it comes to workplace and work culture discussions. How, in thinking of your own personal experience or your business, if you had a couple of sentences of advice for companies that want to evolve to continue assisting families with balance, what would you say?
Well, I'll tackle that one. Lion Mommy will grasp that topic. I am passionate. I started my company because of families and because of my family. My why, my driving force was because I had my first child. And I am now 3 months pregnant. I'm on work leave, but good thing I work for myself, so I'm here today. And I will pick up. I will go home and talk to my team when I get home because they're still at work. But what I really would like companies to know is that they need to treat their team as humans, as their targets that they want to buy their products. So in this world, we have companies that don't value the people to help them make the money. Sometimes they don't even value the people that they want to buy their products, the irony of it. As an entrepreneur, I value the people I target. I value everyone. And I think companies really need to incorporate more of maternity leave or hardship situations or language barriers. We have a shifting society, and these big companies that's been around for a long time will be disrupted unless they jump on the bandwagon and start to change. They need to target women more. They need to address that women have key roles within their company, there's no longer an excuse, quote unquote, that, oh, the public doesn't want to hear that Kay came up with that ad, or the public doesn't want to hear that Shakira helped, with this event. For me, in doing my events, I had a team initially, and nobody that worked for me looked like me. So nobody knew that Shea Richburg was behind FamilyCon. And honestly, that's how it first took off. They only met me when I sat at the table and got the checks. But that needs to change. And I'm being very honest with you today. And these big companies are being disrupted because we have all of us women here today who are starting companies of our own. Things are changing. We are able to make money from home. We can start a business. We can jump on Etsy. We can go to Fiverr and do something. We know our talents, we know our abilities, we know our skills, and we're putting them in great use. So I tell you all to continue that. And for the big corporations, they do need to change. They need to start acknowledging more and different audiences, okay? And the excuse doesn't need to be, oh, this percentage, they're not a greater percentage in this market, or nobody will buy this product if we feel like it's geared towards this group of people. It really needs to be more inclusive, and it really needs to support families too. I'm a big advocate on that because we are all either part of a family, we have a family, we're planning for a family. So that's my key advice. So really these companies really need to start looking at their employees as individuals and issues that's going on in their lives and valuing them more, because we have options. As women, we have plenty of options, right, ladies? So I just wanted to leave you guys with that.
Thank you. If other members of the panel would like to comment on this subject, maybe just like a phrase or a sentence that describes what it's been like being a working mother or a caretaker of family.
Right. What I was going to say, I worked very short time in corporate or government, and I was the troublemaker. I always wanted to start things, and I didn't have a problem with that. But companies, this is my phrase, companies need to start treating their human resources as human assets. We are all assets to them. We are not just a resource. So if they start seeing that, especially women, and with nowadays, that we have so much connectivity, remotely working is the essential element that will attract and retain women in their jobs. If you have that ability to work remotely and be able to organize your time as a mom in the home and as a worker, and have that structure for you, then that company is definitely going to retain women assets.
Thank you. Just one final opportunity. I would like to give all the panelists who are involved with projects that using their business and their leadership position to better the greater good, and talking about integrating social justice. If you have any specific projects, if you just want to give a quick pitch, we can go right down the line. I just want to make sure to give everyone the opportunity on the panel. Quick pitch, 30 seconds.
So I'm also involved with the Fly Women's Network, which we are working with young women who are in the prison system, and we're helping them with against recidivism, and we're helping people get their lives together. I'm also involved in other different structures in Patterson where we're looking at social justice reform and how do we get people to reintegrate into society, giving them things that they need like academic support, social emotional connections. And I also want to just keep working with families that need help, families in general, families and students, because I understand that in order to get from point A to point B, you can get there, but if you don't have to work harder, you just have to work smarter. So that's my thing. Don't work hard, work smart, and meet people who can be the right source for your dreams to come true.
Thank you.
So Latinas in Business, we help promote and market your business once you're established and you're working and you're already doing your fantastic entrepreneurship part. We help you promote and market, and we do social media campaigns, and we do a lot of very, very good things, including two fantastic promotional events that we do every year. The Entrepreneur Empowerment Lunch, which just happened in June. Vanessa was there. We had First Lady Tammy Murphy as a keynote speaker. And now, on November 8th, it's the Latina Small Business Expo and Pitch Competition. And it's open to all minority women entrepreneurs, not only Latinas. And we have this fantastic pitch competition. I invite everybody, the person here who has the organization for autism, I encourage you to participate. Oh, it's you. I'd love to talk to you about this pitch competition. Yes, we have $2,000 in cash prize and $10,000 of business services, including a training provided by Rutgers Business School Entrepreneurial Pioneers Initiative, I think it is EPI. So please, please, please see me at the end. I have flyers. I can give you more information.
Great, thank you.
Well, right now, I don't have a public event. I'm with two consultants for the private sector, but I would like to invite everyone, especially the millennials, the young people here. We have a section that is millennials, and if you want to share your story or you have something to advise others, please feel free. Write to Heidi@bizrepublic.com, and we can publish your story.
Fantastic.
So I mentioned a little bit earlier about the OMG Tea Party. So I would love if there are any corporations here or nonprofit organizations who would like to partner for an event. The event can be either just for women, just for girls, for women and girls. Please, let's talk about that. We love to do high-level events and programming that really help to build confidence, self-esteem, teach etiquette, etc. And then I just wanted to say this. When you are smart, talented, people see your gifts, people see your light, you may be asked to join a number of boards and kind of get pulled into a number of nonprofit initiatives and a number of things that really look to use your talent. And that is a blessing. However, what I will say is that we have to be really strategic in where we decide to go and give our gifts. We want to make sure that it's fertile land. So when when someone is asking you, oh, come be on our board, or oh, come volunteer with our organization, or oh, we would love for you to chair this event, or whatever that is, that's great. But really just take some time to make sure, is this really fertile ground? Are the people who I'm going to be working with going to really appreciate and value what I'm bringing to the table? This way you can make sure that you, instead of spreading yourself thin, which we can do, you're really creating deep impact with organizations that are really going to help to make a big change, and you really see a real good ROI on your time invested. So I wanted to just end with that piece as it relates to social impact and women just giving back.
Well, I'd love to invite everybody in the room to my Brunch and Learn that's coming up on November 2nd. It's called the GP Squared, Girl Power Squared Brunch and Learn. It's intergenerational, and it's basically sharing wisdom about wealth. It's sponsored by Wells Fargo, and we talk about all kinds of topics in terms of how you can learn early in life the tools and the resources and the things you need to be successful financially later in life. So we don't want you to get older and say, oh, if I knew then what I know now, things would be different. We really give you all that information now. So we're having it at San Cubano. It's a beautiful brunch. We're going to have a beautiful spread of breakfast and lunch and paella, and we're going to be honoring Beverly Baker Jackson from Bergen County, who's a real estate developer and a woman of great community presence. And you can find my information on @KsMediaToGo on Instagram, and just email me. I can give you a complimentary ticket.
Wow. Thank you.
Really fast, I'd just like to share with you all, I'm a board member of the nonprofit arts theater group called Vibe Theater in New York. It really targets providing the arts for schools. in New York City, because as we all know, funding is getting cut every day from schools. So that's a big, I support that, and really recommend anybody supporting that if you love the arts and theater. I'm also part and actually work with the African American Chamber of Commerce. So if there are entrepreneurs in here that just want some more information about joining a chamber, I have information on that. And lastly, I'd like to invite anyone interested in being part of my FutureWise group. Again, we have schools, C-suite executives, and entrepreneurs. We sit down, we talk together, we talk about the skills that need to be implemented either in your business to be successful in the future, with colleges, with these big companies. Automation is coming. Nobody's really talking about it, but we're talking about it in our group, and I really recommend everybody reaching out. We have some hard statistics, stats, what's going on, and I just would like to keep everybody aware of what's going on in this room too. So please come see me at the end. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have time for maybe a couple of audience questions. Is there a question that anyone would like to ask? Just raise your hands real high. We'll bring the mic to you.
Hi, I'm Kezia. My question is for Shakira. You mentioned procurement, like what types of suppliers would you be looking for? And is there a particular certifying agency that you work with?
Okay, so when I was saying procurement, I meant our company going through the government procurement process and the corporate procurement process as a WBE. So we have just been getting comfortable with WeBank. I don't know if anybody in here is certified through them. And then the other one is, and I hope that I don't get the acronym wrong, but it's MSNDC. I think that's the acronym. Those are the two agencies that we're looking to certify with, one as women-owned and one as a minority-owned. We are already certified through the state. However, when you start to play, as they say, in a bigger sandbox, they look for different certifications than just the state-level certifications. As far as what we as an agency are always looking for, people to write, do content creation, do social, if you have any digital media experience, also events, day of events, all of those things. And we work with people typically in a freelance capacity. So it's great for students, great for people, even moms who maybe want to make extra money. So that's what we're looking for. But when I was talking about the procurement and actually growing the company, I meant growing it through the actual procurement processes that these companies have right now. Diversity and inclusion, supplier diversity are big buzzwords and big buzz programs. However, there's just a method to that. How we've worked up until now, referrals and just having relationships was just excellent, but we're leaving a lot on the table by not actually doing the procurement. So we're just looking to tap into that. Thank you.
I just was in a meeting with the Deputy Chief of Staff for Governor Murphy, and because they call us Latinos to talk about the problems in the community. And I addressed that problem. Not every business is ready to do what they are gonna do, which is a very costly and complicated process. But if we create a network of small businesses that are recognized by the state, that even if they're not certified, they are a network, and that was our proposal, a network of small businesses that big contractors need to choose businesses from that pool to do their work for them. So little businesses work for bigger businesses that work for the state. And that was our proposal for the governor.
Thank you. We have time for maybe one more question. Well, no questions? Oh, great.
My name is Garlina. I represent special needs mother for 5 years already almost, but I'm also an entrepreneur. But my question is more related to the impact of business in women in business, professionals, and politics. Do you guys believe that we need to make a better effort to support each other when we are trying to create the policies about opportunities for women? Or do you think we have to be at the side and just probably still giving advices to our husbands or to our community? I think it's time for us not only to say or suggest an advice that companies must change the policies and give women and mother more opportunities, but also we need to create a sisterhood. It doesn't matter from where you are, your ethnicity or your age, or if you're a mother or a student or a professional. I think we have to participate a little bit more. I don't know if you agree or disagree with my opinion.
I have a comment on that because I have worked with the DCCC and the DNC on some of the elections, and I also teach, and I ask my students every time we have class, how many of you are actually going to vote? And the majority say they're not, because they say that the government does not represent them. So what's the point? And then when I pressed it, somebody actually said, well, why don't you go vote for me? Because I'm not going to vote. And I find that interesting, but I agree with you that it's important for people to take their own fate into their own hands, and especially with election years coming up, it's important that everybody be civically educated and civically active and know exactly what is going on in the community. And I think the local community is even more important than the national, federal government, because a lot of opportunities start right here, and the more active we are in our communities, the better off we'll be.
I just wanted to add one more thing. Women in general, we will be so much stronger when we band together and really support each other on initiatives, politics, really set aside petty little things. If you don't agree 100% with somebody, you still have to see the bigger vision and the bigger picture. So it is so important that in numbers, as we grow and we stick together, we will really be the driving force in this society. So I just want to add that.
What's interesting is that there's actually, oh, I'm sorry.
Just very short. Get involved. Don't wait for somebody to do it, for my neighbor is involved in the Board of Education. Get involved and somehow. Especially, this is a very important time in this country. So get involved, even if it's a small, even if you can get involved only 1 day or 2 days, get involved. Change can happen, but if we all get involved, we put in a hold 1 day, 2 days, offer your service, because that is gonna come back to you, to your family, to your community.
I just want to say real quick that there's actually a psychological phenomena associated with women hating on each other. It's called BEC. It's called eating cracker syndrome. Psychologically, what that means is it's that you are so bothered by another woman that even her eating crackers bothers you. And that's what it's called. You can look it up, BEC syndrome. And I'm actually having a seminar workshop about how do we kill that? Because we're not gonna get anywhere if we don't band together, one, and accept each other for who we are. I don't have to change who you are, and you don't have to change who I am, but we have to respect each other. We have to respect each other, and we have to band each other. And I think we're living in a time where the political climate has allowed this disrespect to dissipate into our social discourse. And we just allow it. And I think if we allow it and we just look the other way, we become part of the problem. So yesterday we had a domestic violence event in Patterson. It was beautiful. We had a candlelight vigil for domestic violence survivors. And I just want to say that sometimes it doesn't mean physical. It can be social. It can be emotional. It can be social media. I think we need to stand and fight for all, or then we win for none. I'm also gonna host a public speaking event because I think it's important for us to get our message across and find the right words to connect. The minute we use the wrong words or the wrong feelings, then the message gets lost. And that's the problem we have, that the message gets lost. So even though we're feeling the same thing, we really don't know how to convey a message in a manner that is effective. Anybody can talk, but it takes a real leader to communicate and get that message across, to get people moving. And that's what I strive to be. I strive to be, a agent of change, not for me, for my children, because they're looking at me and they're going to copy whatever I am doing or not doing. And this is why I tell people, when you follow me on social media, you're gonna be tired, because I try to just be there for everybody, because you have to show a concerted effort. People can tell when you're faking it. Be real to yourself, be real to your core, and that will attract the energy you need. Drop the mic.
Thank you, Meg, and to our panelists.